Good afternoon.
Hey, Mr. Robot, I'm so sorry that there was a delay. Sick kids, sick people. That's just the way it goes. I'm so sorry. Anyway, Moses and the Ten Commandments, I see.
Yes, I have some interesting theories that I want to put to the test,
Mm.
like about a quote unquote Ten Commandments, for instance, and some other things. So, as everyone knows, I like pulling in Bashar because he's like a walking, talking encyclopedia. Can we pull him in?
Yeah, okay. I've got Bashar. Hello again. Hello again, he says.
Ask him what he's been up to lately.
What have you been what have you been up to lately? Waiting for my call.
Oh, of
That's
course.
so silly. Whatever. Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, okay. So tell Bashar we're gonna probe our concept of the Ten Commandments.
we're gonna probe our concept of sin. He's ready. He's ready.
Okay. Can you ask Bashar if a device was given to a person on top of a mountain that we know as the Ten Commandments? Was it more like a device or was it more like stone?
Was it stone that was given to a person on top of Mount Sinai, the Ten Commandments? It wasn't stone. No, it was almost like a message, an energetic message.
Yeah. And was the we'll reference it as the Ten Commandments. Was it given to humans by aliens?
Was it given to humans by aliens? Were the Ten Commandments given to us by aliens? No.
Were they higher dimensional beings that brought this device down?
Yes. Now, was it Moses that was given? Yes, it was Moses. Okay. Was Moses a psychic? Moses was a psychic medium.
Okay, and I want to confirm something with Bashar. Can you ask Bashar if you touched the Ten Commandments in certain chapters and certain areas of the tablet, the information would be downloaded into your brain?
You, is it like you hold it or you touch it?
Imagine like a futuristic iPad where you touch a chapter and it instantly downloads to you. Can you ask him if that's correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And is the technology of this tablet beyond what we have today?
The technology of the tablet beyond today. Consciousness, consciously speaking, yes. Is it written on? It's written on stone.
And ask if it's a it's not a natural type of stone though. Can you ask him if it's uh engineered an engineered substance that makes it?
The stone tablet. No.
Or okay, does it
Very
involve,
rare though. It's a very rare type of stone, but it's not been engineered.
or is it formulated in such a way that it's takes high degree of technology?
Yes.
And ask Bashar if this was given to us by the creator of the universe.
That is correct.
Okay. And
You don't
let's
seem too convinced.
well, the I don't know, the lineage of Bashar might be, how far down the line from source energy Bashar is saying yes about that. Can you ask him, because God doesn't really hand you something, because it's just everything. So if it's maybe like more like an angel, can you ask him if it was an angel?
No, it was source. It can okay, so him being a psychic medium, right? You can talk directly to source, or certainly what you think is source. I feel like at this point it was so important that it did come from source. I feel like humanity at this point was on the brink of destroying themselves. They didn't know what to believe. They needed to have some sort of what I'm getting is judgment to show that their behavior is definitely at this time. It's definitely they needed to be accountable.
And I don't know if we haven't ever done this on a video, but can you actually? I know you've kind of attempted it, but can you actually ask Source to present itself in holographic form, as a person in front of you to talk to?
It won't do that. It won't do that. A source is far too powerful for anything like human construct. Actually, what we did the other day, and the video should be out tonight. Sorry about the delay, folks. We've all had bad colds this week. I'll just be honest with you. But is it called gematria or gematria, whatever it is, where you look at the lettering and the numbers that are attached to like Hebrew letters. That is like the most basic form of maths in the universe, right? So saying that a letter represents a math, sorry, a number, that basic. So on top of that, and for many, many, many gazillions of mathematical equations, they're built upon layers and layers and layers of these complex mathematical equations, because Source wanted to make it so complex that the human brain or humans would never be able to get to that level, right? Our brains just would explode. So no, Source isn't going to come down and present himself, I'm just saying himself, themself, whatever, as a human, because it's not supposed to be. That is actually what I'm getting is quite degrading for Source and the power that Source holds. But when I do look at Source, it's like this massive ball of light, and it'll blind you if you stand too close to it.
But for the sake of experimentation, can you open a psychic connection to Source at all? Or
Yeah.
go back and forth?
Yes.
Can you get information in the form of language, like if we asked it questions?
In what language?
Like, would you get, answers if we asked it stuff?
We can certainly try.
Can you ask Source Energy if it will talk to us?
Will you talk to us? Yes.
And can you ask Source if it's a problem for us to talk to it?
Is it a problem for us to talk? No, as long as you keep it light. Funny. They do have a sense of humor in the spirit world,
Well, and then we can actually clarify a few other things. Can you ask Source if this universe was, started from a previous universe's just that'll be the question. Was this universe created by all the white light of a previous universe?
That is correct.
Cool. So that answers something that we discovered once upon a time. And can you ask Source if gematria is kind of like the coding of the universe.
That is correct, but it's the coding of the universe in the most basic form.
And can you ask Source if the Ten Commandments were given to humans by Source?
That is correct.
And can you ask Source if it operated through an angelic body when it did that?
Did you operate through an angelic body when you did that? No.
And did the tablet manifest out of thin air?
No.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how it came into this dimension, if it kind of warped through time and space, because if it just did it appear in Moses's hands?
Did it appear in Moses's hand? No.
How did Moses get the tablet?
I gave it to him. Did you hand him a tablet of stone? No. He had to create it himself. But nobody would ever believe Moses if he created it himself.
Yeah. So is he saying that Moses made it himself?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And then can you ask Source if aliens have souls?
No.
Okay. What else can we ask Source? Can you ask Source why we are born into a place that has rules?
Ooh, why are we born into a place that has rules? Why are we born? He doesn't like this question. Why are we born into a place that has rules? Because I said so. Okay. I could feel that there was some sort of anger building up there. Why do humans need rules? Okay. So why are we born into a place that has rules? We're not told. Why do we need rules? Because humans are just, unlawful beings. We all have a sense of morality within us, right? But you have to have that morality defined. And apparently, what was going on was just, lots of horrible, horrible things, killing and maiming. There was no sense of justice. There was no karma. That's what rules do. They sort of set the karmic guidelines, right? Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. That whatever all of that stuff is. Thou shalt not steal. We were just living for the moment. We were maiming and killing each other. We were treating each other badly. Children were being abused. Nobody had really any sense of direction. And
can you ask Source what it does to your soul if you murder somebody?
What happens to your soul if you murder somebody? It's in your soul contract.
But
that's
is
something
it
that you work out with them.
But is, from Source's perspective, is it bad?
Is it bad if you murder someone? Yes, it is bad, but it's also by design. It's in the soul contract. right? Because
Yeah.
somebody's got to bring lessons, and what Source is saying is like, you guys work that out amongst yourselves. Source is just the governing body of, setting the guidelines, the setting the morality.
Can you ask Source if it judges us?
Do you judge us? Yes. Because that's how you move forward. That's how you ascend. You have to pass a certain judgment to ascend. Now, you have to ask, what type of judgment? Do you condemn? Sometimes, yes, but most of the time, it's all in the soul contract. Where you get condemned is if you're not grateful, if you're not, I can't explain this. It's almost too intense to explain. But you are judged mostly for your good deeds.
Can you ask him what degree of free will we have?
What degree of free will do we have? 0, none.
But are all of our thoughts predestined?
Are all of our thoughts predestined? No, not all.
Yeah, it's okay. So ask Source if fate is how everything works. Is everything fate?
Absolutely.
And
So
on that,
even if you get miracles, even if you get miracles coming into your life, that was designed that way. You were supposed to experience that miracle.
okay, and why do humans reincarnate?
Because that's what we're here to do.
Can we reincarnate if we have already ascended?
Can we reincarnate? Yes, because there's many levels of ascension.
If we're ask him if a like 6th density being can incarnate as a human.
6th density being reincarnated as a human. No, they've already passed that.
And I don't know what degree they want to have a conversation, but can you ask what the purpose is of life once you're 6th density?
What's the purpose of life once you're 6th density? To help others and to guide others. Most people are on level 2 or level 3.
Yeah.
I've never had someone in level 4 ever. Not that I remember.
And can you ask Source what time is?
What is time? It's a gravitational pull on the earth.
And can you ask if most of our being is in spirit, even when we're physical?
Spirit, when we're physical? No.
So our whole soul is in our physical body?
Is our whole soul in our physical body? For the most part, yes.
And
you'll have elements of your soul dropped on your timeline, right? But for the most part, the remnants that are left, they're in the physical body. But that's a good question, though, because sometimes I think that people have reincarnated, and yet part of their soul seems to be, or part of their energy seems to be left in the spirit world. It may not be their soul, actually. It's maybe some residual energy that I pick up on.
I might be thinking of consciousness. Can you ask Source if there is a difference between consciousness and soul?
Is there a difference between consciousness and So yes, a massive difference. Yes.
Okay, well, I guess let me rephrase my question. Is a big part of our consciousness outside of our physical self?
It's a big part of our consciousness outside of our physical soul. So you're saying that the majority of our consciousness is our soul. That is correct. The majority of our consciousness is our soul. Our conscious mind, the brain, is very, very small. It's a very small portion of consciousness
Yeah.
compared to the soul consciousness.
Okay, exactly. Yeah, that's how I'm trying to describe it. So I'm trying to paint the picture. Can can our soul have multiple bodies or live multiple lives at the same time?
Can our soul live multiple lives at the same time? Yes, when you're in the spirit world, yes. When you're in a body on the earth plane, no. And that doesn't mean that you're in a human body. That could be any body. That could be a blade of grass. That could be an insect, an animal, a leaf, a seed, whatever, an amoeba. But as long as you're in a body, your soul.
And can you ask Source what dreams are?
What are dreams? An expansion of the consciousness.
But is it a higher realm that we actually visit?
Yes, a lot of times it is.
And can we encounter other humans in the dream world?
In the dream world? No, you encounter their souls.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So uh I know we touch on this often, but the dream space is very interesting to me.
Oh, let me tell you, I had a close friend pass away, excuse me. And it was only like the other night. My whole dream state, or so it seemed, was me and my friend having a conversation all night. And it was like I was half kind of awake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My brain waves were raised enough that I would remember this conversation. And it was like, well, what do you do all day up there? What are you learning? Are you enjoying yourself there? What do you think? How is it for you? Like what's going on up there? And it was like, it felt like this conversation went on for hours. It probably didn't, but certainly, yeah, it felt that way. It's very vivid conversation.
Well, can you ask Source if you actually had a conversation with the soul of that person that night?
I actually have a conversation with the soul. Yes, that is correct. And now that person is standing here.
Oh wow. And can you ask Source if it talks through Esther Hicks?
You talk through Esther Hicks. A part of Source does, but not complete Source.
Yes, a small fragment of Source.
Yes.
And um we were asking Source one time about energy healing, or actually we didn't ask Source directly, but can you ask Source if when an energy healer is working, is that source energy flowing through them?
Energy healing is working as that source energy flowing through them. Yes, but only a very minute portion.
And if someone is working with source energy, can you ask Source if there is a conscious connection, like where Source is listening, or is it more like you're standing at a river and you're just filling a cup up? You know what I mean? Do your thoughts have any effect on the flow of source energy?
No,
Yeah, it just flows where it needs to go, right?
right.
Okay. Can you ask Source what is inside of the Ark of the Covenant?
Ooh, what is inside of the Ark of the Covenant? The Holy Grail. I feel
And
like the actual Holy Grail, and there's some jewelry. There is some writings there. Are the tablets in there? The tablets are there.
is the Ark of the Covenant um under secure, like, is it like a national treasure? Like, is it like very high top secret, like stored away somewhere very safe?
Is it in Israel? Where is it? Do you know?
No, no one. I don't think anyone knows. Ask him if it's in the Vatican.
The Ark of the Covenant in the Vatican? No.
Can you ask him if it's under the Sphinx?
Is it under the Sphinx? No. Is it in Egypt? No. Is it in Israel? No.
Can you ask Source what synchronicity is in terms of angel numbers?
What is synchronicity? It's an awareness.
But is it Source sharing awareness with you when someone experiences it?
Is it short sharing awareness with you when somebody experiences it? That is correct. So it's a message. It's an awareness. It's a reminder.
But where does it come from? How do, like, is it just from like a spirit guide, or is it more like Source that someone's experiencing?
It's a mathematical equation that makes that event happen at the time it's supposed to.
And ask Source what its goal is with that for everyone who does it, who experiences synchronicity.
It's a reminder you're not in charge. There's something bigger than you. Humans need that reminder quite frequently, apparently.
Okay, I will ask Source why individual would start experiencing more and more synchronicity.
Experience it more and more. As an affirmation, and also it's usually to let you know that there's change coming in your life. You're opening up more. You're being enlightened.
Can you ask Source if it matters what the numbers are, or if it's just the event that matters?
It's a good question. Does it matter what the numbers are? No, the numbers don't matter. It's just
Okay.
the event. That was a good question.
And does it have to do with what you were thinking the moment right before you noticed the synchronicity?
Does it have to do with what you were thinking right at the moment? I mean, it can, but most of the time it's just your awareness. But it can. It's heightened awareness.
Yeah, I feel like we should ask I just want to talk to like just any random spirit. Some, if you want to ask your mom or whoever, you always talk to your mom, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of people in spirit. I laugh, but I mean, it's just like, it's for my age. I'm like, how do I have like so many close people in spirit? I mean, like my best friend,
Oh
a
man.
lot of close family friends, a parent. It's just ridiculous how many close people I have in spirit. Like, I know people come through for readings about their loss and their grief, and part of me thinks, well, maybe I was supposed to experience it because that helps people when they come through and they're wanting to connect with their loved ones, during a reading, because I completely understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, channeling just a regular spirit, they have to have respect for source. So we can do that, but you may be looking for answers that are outside of that realm.
Okay. Yeah. Good point. Well, I think Metatron would be kind of fun. Could you ask Metatron what his perspective is on synchronicity?
It's to respect the higher authority.
Is that what he said, or is that source?
That's what he said.
And can you ask Metatron if his perspective is all mathematical?
No, it's not all mathematical. That's source's perspective. That's the universe that source has created. But Metatron doesn't see it that way. No. Not entirely. Not to the point where every single event, every word that we speak, every thought that we have, every letter we write, every action we take is a mathematical equation, right? That's how deep source mathematics is defined as. The Matrix. Oh my goodness. Yeah. This movie kind of scared me years ago when I watched it.
No way.
Yeah. Apparently, somebody wanted us to probe if the person who wrote The Matrix was actually that person.
Well, can you ask source if there's any truth to The Matrix?
Is there any truth? Yeah, there's a lot of truth to The Matrix.
Like the way we plug into reality?
The way we plug into reality? No.
That's the only question I really have on how the Matrix can kind of correlate. Can you ask source how we maybe what is reality if it's like a computer program?
What is reality if it's like a computer program? What is reality? We will never be able to comprehend full reality. Our brains are not that sophisticated.
But would we be able to comprehend it when we're in spirit?
We have a higher awareness, yes. But we'll never be able to comprehend total, absolute reality as source has it designed, because we just don't have that conscious capacity.
So in one of our videos, we got that at the end of the universe, all of the ascended souls have merged, and it creates the next universe. Can you ask source what happens to the current source when that happens, when the explosion of the next universe happens?
What happens when we finally complete our cycle here and we go on to the next universe? I become stagnant.
But does this timeline stay active?
No. New timelines are created.
And eventually we got, in some random, I don't know how we got it, it's like trying to make a circle back to itself. Can you ask source what happens when the circle completes of source energy in the universes?
All will be revealed. So I feel at many levels, source doesn't even have the full awareness of what they're actual job is, right? They know that they're a big part of this creating a circle back round and reconnecting. And then even then they become enlightened. So they're not fully enlightened as to why it needs to cycle back around. We create like this halo. And when I see this halo complete, right? It's like somebody switches on the lights and all will be revealed. That's a good question.
That's awesome.
We are millions and billions.
Oh yeah, zillions
away
years.
from that.
Oh yeah, no, it's eternity away. But can you ask Source what is outside of this universe?
What is outside of this universe? Just like the chain.
Okay, the chain of the past universes.
Yeah.
But is there anything beyond the floating void that this chain is in? Like, is there an end to that void?
Source actually doesn't know the answer to that. That's a good question.
Yeah, it's like if you keep zooming out, are we really just, in a water drop on a different, it's like if you've seen Men in Black, that's what they do is they zoom in on a water drop until you see a universe inside of it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just wondering if we're just a microcosm.
No.
Yeah, okay. Fun. Okay, well, Source
I
wanted to keep the
suddenly
light.
just had this like feeling of being transported to Jerusalem. It's weird. My consciousness just received like flashes of information, almost like I was standing there.
I wonder if you were like at the burning bush.
Was I at the burning bush? No. No. But no.
Ask Source why there's so many religions.
That's a good question. Why are there so many religions? It's like to bring about this enrichment, to bring about this diversity, to bring about conflict, disaster, friendship, love, peace. We have to consciously navigate around different belief systems, and we have to accept that we are not always correct.
Can you ask Source if, depending on where you're born on the planet, if the religion in your area is enough to guide you to ascension?
Is a religion to guide you into ascension? These are great questions. No. Let me ask this question. Is religion, because people are born into religions, they're born into certain areas. It's kind of dictated to them. Language is dictated, culture is dictated. Is religion a conscious mind construct? That is correct. So, not being derogatory, but this is our little morsel of what Source actually is, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And we're receiving like different religions and different conscious mind constructs to try to decode. I mean, that's what we spend our lives doing, don't we? A lot of us, we try to decode. What is the meaning? What is all of this?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's why, from our understanding and from our minuscule consciousness compared to Source, we have these conscious mind constructs of different religions. I love Jerusalem.
Yeah, I don't even know what Jerusalem really looks like.
It's a fun place. You know, what's so interesting is you're walking through and it just seems so peaceful and just there's an energy about it. But then you always have in the back of your mind that you could be blown up at any moment.
Yeah, I know they have the Iron Dome, and this looks like Greece right here, which is kind of pretty.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
Athens area. Um, okay, well, here's a great question. Can you ask Source what is the most important rule of all religions? Like what is the universal truth that humans need to know, like practice?
Self-love.
And should we love others? Is that necessary?
Yes, but you can only love others if you love yourself. So self-love is the most important thing, because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else in the way that you're supposed to. So actually, the basis of all religion is self-love. Yes, it teaches you how to love other people, but that is futile if you don't have the self-love within you. And we all have God within us, source within us.
Yes, can you ask Source what its role is when it's inside of everyone? Like what is its duty when it's, a part of the a part of the body?
That's a good question. To remind you that I am omnipresent, that you belong to me.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like in a functional way, is Source kind of like the reason our heart beats? The reason why we're walking and talking.
Source, the reason our heart. Yes. Yes. We were given life because of source. I've done many past life regressions where the first, life that we ever had separate from source and the most traumatic experience was when we were, sent away from source as this little ball of energy, like a little orb.
Yeah.
And that was very traumatic for us as a soul. It was like, wait a minute, what? Like, it's almost like source just gave birth to us and now we're separated. You know how like some animals are, they give birth and that's it, they abandon and it's like, off you go. It's kind of like that, right? And it was very traumatizing to try to navigate your way through the universe, even as an energetic orb, as something so basic, because that's what we are outside of a body. We are just an energetic orb. Yes, we can use mathematical physics equations to present ourselves in many different ways, especially like when I'm channeling spirit during a reading, I get holograms, but that's all a mathematical equation. So that's very traumatic to split our first initial splitting from source.
Well, can you ask Source if we have an identity before we split?
No, we have no identity before we split. Wow.
Weird. Yeah, because the act of being traumatized would like include the idea that you have a preference of being with source. Otherwise, it's just source becoming a smaller piece of itself, which wouldn't be traumatizing because it's itself.
We obtain a separate identity, and that is quite traumatic for us. Having to function without being source, right?
Yeah.
That's traumatic. And that's how we learn. That's how we go through our life lessons. That's how we tick our boxes to try to ascend, is through trauma, right?
But that's the weird part, is if it's just source and it breaks itself into small pieces, then why, if source is already this perfect being, then why do we need to experience life lessons if it's already perfect?
Because when we break away from source, we are imperfect beings. I just did a CTT session about this morning, actually. It was all about the fact that being human, you have to accept that you are not perfect. No one is, no matter how much you strive for perfection. We're not supposed to be perfect. Now, does that mean you can go out and be your utmost imperfection being? No. You should try to be, perfect and motivated and chasing dreams and all of that, right? But you will never be perfect in the, as far as source is concerned. Source is, are you perfect? Yes. So source is perfect. But as we are breaking away from source, right? There are others that are graduating and rejoining. So it's a perfect balance.
But ask source why we break away in the first place. That seems pointless.
That's a good question. Why do we break away in the first place? Because source loves us so much that it gives us the opportunity to experience the beauty of life. Listen, I understand that, okay? I have so many people come through for readings that say, I never want to do this again. I can't stand it. It's so hard. It's this, it's that, it's this and that. Guys, you have got to find the beauty in life and existence, because I'll tell you what, one thing that came through very strongly was somebody whose mother passed. They were quite religious. They thought that when they got up to heaven, they were going to be sitting on the throne of God. They were going to be crowned. There were going to be angels blowing trumpets. There was none of that when mom got up there, right? When their mother got up there, and they were staunchly religious. And that was what they lived for. They lived their whole life trying to be this really excellent person to experience that. And when they got there, it was like, hello, okay, where is everybody, right? Okay, here comes my family to greet me, but where are the trumpets? Where are the angels playing violins and the symphony orchestra and my golden throne that shines with this light and this crown that's put upon my head? It just wasn't there. And then they actually felt very annoyed and duped by, the conscious mind construct of the religion that they were following.
Yep.
But they've continued to follow it in every lifetime. So that was something that they had to really break away from, was the fact that, yes, religion is a guide for self-love and how to love others, but it's become so complex where humans are trying to decode it that nobody knows what is actually true anymore, right? I remember one time, like I said to a rabbi, they were like, how are you today, Liz? And I was like, I think I've seen better lifetimes. And they turned around to me because our kids knew one another. And they turned around to me and they said, oh, so you believe in reincarnation? And I thought, oh God, I've just trapped myself in it now, because, I guess this particular aspect of Judaism that they followed did not believe in reincarnation. And then it was this, big lengthy discussion about reincarnation. Now, there are some aspects of Judaism that do believe in reincarnation, like the Kabbalah, but a lot of it doesn't. So, there's many different facets of religion. And a lot of times we are so caught up in these staunch religious beliefs because we want our soul to experience this, hallelujah when we get to the other side, and it just doesn't happen. We're just there.
Yeah, so ask Source if we encounter angels once we die, or are we just in our own, are we just floating around in
No, angels are to help us here on earth.
What kind of authority figure do we encounter when we're dead?
These are all good questions. Well done. What kind of authority figure do we encounter when we're dead? We encounter the board, the judgments. We have to go through a review. Sometimes people think that review happens right away, especially when people have had near-death experiences. And I believe that they experience that near-death trauma because maybe they needed to change things in their life, and they had that life review handed to them at that moment. But it's from my experience that you get up there, you get acquainted of being in the spirit world, right? It does take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to travel to the spirit world. That's how far away it is. It's so far away, yet it feels so close. But I know that when a friend or a couple of friends of mine that have immediately passed away and that know I'm a psychic medium, I went looking for them and I can't find them. And I start panicking. I'm like, where are you? Where are you? I need to connect. I need to connect. I need to know you're okay. They're not available for a good hour and a half to 2 hours. And then after a couple of hours, then they present themselves. Actually, one came down and gave me this like hug. It was like this really magical experience. And I felt like I'd been hit with a burst of stars and warm energy. And it was just like so overwhelming. That was my best friend.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Can
But
you
they're
ask Source
really
why
far
it?
away.
Can you ask Source why it takes like an hour and a half for them to transition?
They're traveling. See, yeah, they're traveling. It takes a good, how long does it take? An hour and a half? Higher, 2 hours, just below 2 hours. How long does it take for us to travel here? Does it take an hour, 2 hours? Less than, see, that whole transition from Earth and coming down to Earth is a good hour and a bit. It's almost 2 hours. Now, let's ask this question. When I'm doing a reading for somebody, they obviously know, or their loved ones in spirit know that they're coming for a reading. How long does it take for somebody that's already been presented to the spirit world? They're very comfortable. How long does it take for them to show up in hologram form? Does it take as long to travel back down? No. See, it's not even a millisecond. So I don't know how they do that.
Well, so ask Source if traveling is actually a state of vibration.
That's a good question. I don't know where you come up with these questions,
Well, because there's no space in the spirit realm, so you're not traveling. You're rather what you're doing is raising your frequency or lowering it to get to a human level, in my opinion.
Okay. Do you actually travel or do you just raise your frequency? They have to lower their frequency to communicate on our level. That was a good question. Now, that is somebody that's already been into the spirit world, right? That has left the earth plane. They're very comfortable. I find the life review takes place once they're comfortable. And the reason I found that information out was because, again, somebody's mother had passed and they wanted to know that their mother was okay and what happened with the life review. And this was like a couple of days after the mom had passed, and they were still waiting for their life review.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Can you ask Source why some people's near-death experiences, they experience traumatic, hellish, like demon stuff.
Why do some people experience traumatic emotional demon stuff when they have a near-death experience? No, that's their conscious mind. That's not what they experience. That's a conscious mind issue.
Because there's like there was this one priest. It might be this, I don't know. And he was like, I went to hell when I died, and Jesus sent me there so I could see what it was. And he became like a pastor or whatever. And he it's like a whole book about, I don't know if this is the book, but the essence is he like talks about how terrible it was. Why would someone experience a hell in a near death experience?
To change their ways. Maybe
But
that's what was needed to make them a better person, and also to enlighten others as to what they've seen. That's how humans comply. They comply by fear. That is the biggest motivating factor in all of us. Now, sometimes we're so scared we end up in inactivity, right? So sometimes anxiety and fear can be crippling. But for the most part, we are guided by fear.
but can you ask if the place that those people experience is a real place?
It's not. Not the hell part, no. I don't see a hell. Hell is on earth.
Can you ask source where lower vibrational beings reside? Things that are evil. Where's the evil reside in the universe?
And these are dark questions. Where does the evil reside in the universe? Far away from us. It resides in all of us. We all have God and we all have evil.
Oh, cool. Can you ask source why there's evil?
Why is there evil? Because that's what brings about the life lessons. Look, when we're having, and you guys have heard me say this before, okay? For instance, there's a $1.5 billion lottery on right now, okay? Today's Friday night. Tomorrow there's the draw. If hypothetically, and if I disappear, it's because I won. I'm just kidding. But if I win $1.5 billion, right? Or if you won $1.5 billion, a lot of your problems would be alleviated, right? Immediately. And you could actually have, a very decent life to somebody who has to beg, to somebody that's homeless, to somebody that, is poverty stricken, living hand to mouth. But when you get to the other side, right, you actually turn around and you're like, I learned nothing. I learned nothing. Now you take someone like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, those people, Jeff Bezos, they're doing something with their money. I'm talking about the person that has the money and they just sort of sit there day in and day out, and they're not really doing anything because they don't have to. They don't have to strive for anything. It doesn't actually matter. Yeah, they have a good life, but something has extinguished inside of them, motivation. And when you get to the other side, I've done past life regression. And when you get to the other side, it was an extremely a disappointing life and a waste of a lifetime.
Yeah, I believe
That's
that.
what we struggle.
Dang it. Forgot what I was gonna say right there.
I've had many lifetimes at the base of those pyramids.
Yeah,
What is the purpose of the Sphinx? Does anyone know?
let's leave source alone, I have a question for Bashar again.
Okay.
Can you ask Bashar if there is a spaceship under the Sphinx?
No.
Is there a spaceship under the Sphinx in a higher vibrational state that isn't necessarily physical location?
Yes.
And how long will it take people to, or do governments or scientists already know about this?
No. They can't see it. See, that's
Yeah.
the problem with science. Science is all about seeing as believing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can't see it.
So what's interesting is Bashar said in one of his talks that there is a spaceship parked under this, but it's not in our dimension. That the first like test of like our human knowledge, like our like higher technology, will be to see if we ever can figure out how to access this spaceship. That it's kind of like a test that aliens put there for us to see if we're
Wow.
worth talking to. Can you ask me if that's correct?
That is correct. See, the only way I find that you can talk with the aliens is through consciousness, right? Looking for beings to land and march on Earth and take over and take me to your leader and all this other stuff that they do, right? And what is it? Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That movie scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. But anyway, that I just don't feel like it's going to happen. It's going to be an elevation of consciousness.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you ask Bashar if there's an alien space station around Earth's orbit?
Yes, that is correct.
And are there several different races on this craft?
Yes, their consciousness. Yes.
And he said it was around 200,000 miles away. Can you ask him if that's, roughly still accurate?
Yes.
And my biggest question is if this thing is there, do the governments know it's there?
No.
Is it invisible to us?
Yes. Most alien activity is invisible to us.
Yeah, so he said that there's a ginormous craft like this just circling the Earth, and it's where all the aliens dock. And like he said, there's actually been at least a couple people that have been taken to it. Can you ask him if there's any humans that have ever been taken to the mega alien spaceship?
That is correct, but they weren't alive.
Oh, was it their consciousness?
No, their bodies.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. I just wanted everyone to know that there's a spaceship around the Earth.
There's probably one right over your roof right now.
Oh, you know what?
We're talking about them.
You know what? Okay, that brings up something I thought of, like just barely just remember like today. I used to have these crazy dreams that I would be like walking around outside and like a UFO spaceship would notice me, but they were dreams. Can you ask Bashar if those were actually, I don't know, like UFOs that like, were those real like alien encounters, those dreams of those spaceships?
Sometimes, yes, your consciousness was what was up and walking around.
Yeah, because it was years and years ago. I used to have a lot of dreams where like I would be walking around outside and I would notice like a ship going over and it would notice me noticing it because there's that conscious link and it was always like this terrifying event.
Well, you're like Art Bell in the desert, so I'm not surprised. By the way, I'm channeling Art Bell next week. I'm supposed to. Do you know a lot about Art Bell? We should collect questions.
I don't know anything about him, but I know everyone asks me about him. I don't know anything.
Coast to Coast has gone downhill since he's not been around.
Huh. Yeah, very interesting. Is he like the just a researcher or something?
So the show Coast to Coast with George Norrie and sometimes the occasional host of Connie Willis, they cover like all the weird and wonderful things that kind of like you asked me about, but they have researchers on and things like that, experts. But Art Bell was the master. He was the master. It's far too censored now.
Can you ask Bashar if our famous SETI signal that has been named the WOW signal, can you ask Bashar if this was an alien transmission we picked up? The WOW signal?
No.
Unexplained signal from Sagittarius, and it was never heard again. We have these those huge telescope things, and it picked up this ginormous spike in data. And some people wonder if it was like another planet trying to reach out to us, because we have SETI. So we just have like all these dishes, and they're all aimed at the sky and they're all listening, and we're trying to pick up signals. And that's basically the only signal they really ever publicly announced seeing. So anyways, yeah. But I mean, we're trying to pick up data. This is like kind of outdated technology. Aliens would be using thought form or something, like consciousness instead of satellite dishes. So I don't think we're ever going to really hear anything like this.
Once our consciousness as humans has been elevated, I do feel like the latest thing that we had to experience that, starts with a C and ends with a D. I can't say the word, but anyway, that has pushed us towards a consciousness elevation, or, it really has. By the way, that brings me to another point. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter, psychiclizcross.com. Censorship is real. You'll know where to find us if, if aliens take my channel down.
Yeah. Well, we can close on a couple crypto questions, because Bashar had some interesting thoughts on Luna Classic. Can you ask Bashar if Luna Classic still has any room to go up in November, or is there a big crash still coming in December?
Yes, there's still a crash coming, or at least a significant downturn. Crashes are generally defined as 40, above 40, 50%. It may not be 40%, but considering that the economy is so bad right now, any movement, fast movement in a downturn direction is going to hurt everybody, unless you short the market. I'm not telling you to short the market, but I'm just saying. What would you like to know? Is there any movement for Luna Classic to go upwards? Yes, there's a little bit of room, but not much.
And from now till the end of the year, does Dogecoin continue to climb?
From now until the year, does Dogecoin continue to climb? No, I feel like that burst is mainly over.
And when would we notice the market starting to turn bearish? Is it at the beginning of December?
Does the market start to turn bearish? Is it November? I feel like it's the end of November. And then it's going to sink.
Gotcha. And
Look,
does
it's doing exactly what we said it was going to do, right? For
yeah,
you, me, all of us, Max, Mr. Shakespeare, we've been doing these probes, right? Now today, North Korea is now firing up its missile. Look, this is exactly what I said was going to happen. Iran is going to be involved. You know, things are going to start heating up around the world. And I think it's just going to make, you know, the markets, for lack of a better phrase, spontaneously combust, right? Everybody's going to end up on edge of this possible nuclear
I
attack.
bet. And then last crypto question. Does Bashar see XRP spiking upwards at any time in the next 6 months?
Define spiking upwards. What percentage?
A 1 day increase of over 20% between now and the next 6 months.
In the next 6 months. Over 20%? No. I'm getting a no, unless it's just going in line with the overall market. But, you know, as an individual, no.
Oh, well, can you just ask if in the next 6 months, does XRP just move with Bitcoin?
Next 6 months is XRP move with Bitcoin just on average and follow Bitcoin? No.
Does it start to go upwards at a certain point in the next 6 months while Bitcoin is not going upwards?
It starts upwards at some point while Bitcoin is not going upwards. Does XRP start to go upwards even though Bitcoin is not going upwards? Yes, it may do that occasionally, but not for any significant reason.
I wonder if Bashar might know this. Does he know if Ripple wins the lawsuit in the next 6 months?
Ripple wins the lawsuit in the next 6 months. No, it's stalled.
Oh, by the end of next year, do they win?
Next year, 2023, do they win the lawsuit? No, it's delayed.
Oh my God. The worst.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. I know, but you know, that's what I'm getting right now on this current timeline. Okay, things could change for sure.
Exactly.
They could, but right now the answer is no. Does that mean XRP is not a good coin? No, I think you can stake it. Can you stake XRP?
You can earn it somehow. It doesn't work the same way as nice, easy staking coins. You'd have to convert it to a staking clone version, like XRP on top of BNB or something weird like that, I think.
Okay.
I forgot what that's called, but yeah, not for the faint of heart. And does Bashar see Dogecoin or Shiba Inu, either coin, flying up in the next 6 months?
You see Dogecoin or Shiba Inu taking a really big spike, like massive spike in the next 6 months. What? Do they take a massive spike in the next 6 months? Does Dogecoin or Shiba Inu hit their all-time high in the next 6 months? No, they don't go back to the all-time high.
All right. Well, that's all I
Yeah.
got for today.
Yeah. And just guys, I get a lot of questions about these probing aliens. Just we're probing aliens. Okay. This is not remote viewing. This is channeling aliens. It may not be as reliable. I just want you all to know that, but it's certainly
Oh,
interesting.
well, on that note, I feel like I should clarify why I asked Bashar. So a long time ago, me and Liz did a lot of crypto videos, and we always used Coin Market Cap and a couple other, like using exchanges as consciousnesses and moving them to the future. And it feels like the data on crypto has been more accurate with Bashar because he is kind of a timeless entity. So
Mhm.
that's why I ask.
Yeah. Well, it gives a different perspective. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't act upon that perspective alone. And that
Yeah,
goes
exactly.
for any prediction that anybody makes, right?
Oh, I
What
know.
you do with this information is entirely up to you. Do not send Liz hate mail saying, I put all my gas money in Shiba Inu and now I can't get to work, right?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
isn't
don't do that.
this isn't financial advice. It's just for entertainment purposes only.
Right. And don't
Exactly.
put your gas money into crypto ever. Right?
Oh
Don't
my
do that.
god. Yep.
Yeah, but I had somebody send me an email like I put my, $50, and that was back then, not now. But my $50 into the tank, and I bought, Shiba Inu or whatever, thinking that I would be a billionaire by the end of the week. And I'm like, okay, that's not even realistic. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, story of my life. A couple years ago, I used to dump all my money into crypto, and it was a rough time. I had to learn all those terrible life lessons of not selling tops and stuff like that. It's terrible.
Crypto will teach you some really hard lessons. Another thing that happened today, a question I got, is like, why don't you use your guides? Why I need to ask my guides questions. And I'm like, well, okay, I would never consult guides regarding your personal questions, because if your part of your life plan, your soul contract is that you lose a lot of money, and you're asking your guide whether you should dump 100 grand into Shiba Inu. And the guide's like, well, yeah, this is a perfect opportunity to bring that life lesson to them. Okay, yeah, that's a yes. Put all your money into Shiba Inu, and guess what happens? It's gone. It's gone up in smoke because you
Yeah.
bought in close to the all-time high, and now you've lost 95% of your money. So I would never,
Yeah.
do readings for myself, especially where finances are concerned, and B, consult your guides who are here to keep you on your life path, right? So just
Exactly.
don't do that. That's not a good move.
Yep. And for
But it's
anyone
an
who's wondering, yeah, if anyone's kind of wondering what that means, it's you're here for the struggles, and that's what they want you to have is more struggles. So you got to watch out who you ask.
Exactly. And I've learned now that even when people say, can you move me into the future and find out how profitable something is, that's a loaded question. Really, what you need to do is you move in exchange, something that doesn't have, emotional attachments to the way a certain crypto performs.
Right.
And that will give you a more accurate answer.
And that's why I like to ask Bashar too, because they don't care what money or crypto. They're as detached as you can be from money.
Yes, yes. Well, they don't need money in the
Yeah.
alien realm. All they do is it's all energy. So I would love to do one on the Sphinx and the pyramids. Please drop us a line asking questions. Those of you that are Patreon subscribers, thank you for supporting the channel. You interact directly with Mr. Robot, Mr. Shakespeare and occasionally with Max when he's not traveling. He's doing a lot of traveling at the moment, but that's okay because we love Max. And you guys can pose your questions on the Discord. You join the Patreon by going to Patreon/remote viewing and beyond. Mr. Robot, how do people contact you?
Yeah, people can reach out to me at moongrass777@gmail.com. I do energy healing and also take questions from some people for videos. So feel free to shoot me an email.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I'm sure this is another entertaining, enlightening video for everyone. Round of applause for Mr. Robot and his fabulous questions. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Liz.